Let's be honest, the term grunt work within sales is becoming obsolete. With everyday AI tools like Clay, Humantic AI, and WinAI, the process of researching a lead is becoming completely revolutionized, cutting down cost and time by nearly 70%. These tools aren't just nice to haves anymore, they're rapidly becoming essential in the modern day sales work. And the exciting part is, these systems run smoothly and quietly off the back of your already existing systems, meaning you don't have to connect anything yourself. And that's exactly what I'm going to be showing you in this video. A working system that does three things automatically. It researches a lead, it scores the lead, and creates a structured meeting plan depending on whether or not the lead is qualified in the first place. To build this system, we're going to be using VoiceFlow for the front-end interaction with the lead, Relevance AI for the back-end automations, and Airtable to store data. And don't worry, every resource that I use in this video will be available to you in the resource in the description below. If you clicked on this video and you don't know who I am, my name is Kai and I've been automating sales processes for other businesses for the past 5 months. So if you are a business owner wanting to implement these sort of systems without disrupting your current setup, then feel free to check out the description below and connect with us.
So to get started, one of the first things that you want to do is input the webhook to your lead scraper, lead researcher agent into the agent that's actually going to extract the information. So this is the agent within VoiceFlow that's going to ask all the questions, that's going to give us a transcript of all the pain points or the actual situation of the lead. And we can do that by going into the functions tab. Once you import everything, you have all of these different of the agent that you've built, including the agent itself. So then you're going to go into functions and then send results. And then you're going to see a webhook or a URL here that is actually going to be designated to your own agent that you clone into your account. And you change that by going into your agent profile. Then you follow the instructions here. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to result in a URL that you can copy and paste into this page here. And now once you've done that, I'm just going to show you a test of how it actually works. Cool. So as you can see, it's asking me about anything about like any particular challenges, and in this use case I've made a knowledge base regarding the services that this business or marketing agency provides. So this example use case, it's a business to business example where this business helps other businesses scale. And if I say to it, do you help other high-end customers, it's going to pull in knowledge from the knowledge base and then answer the question accordingly. And you can see it's starting to ask why I made that question. So it wants to understand a bit more about my situation. Cool. I've tried SMA before and it didn't work. Can you tell me what aspect of the service was lacking and what didn't work for you? So it's asking these questions, and it's all trained on the prompt for Alex Hormozi's Closer framework, which asks it questions of what have you done in the past, what did you like about it, what didn't you like about it. So I'll just say it didn't work because it wasn't personalized to my situation. So now it's starting to like sell me, push me more towards about that route of working with this agency. I think it is a good solution. So it's not necessarily guaranteeing that it's going to help me, but it's kind of prompting me to want to get started. And now it's asking me for my email and my first and last name. So I'll just say my name's Iman Ghazi and my email is Iman because he's just joined that. Cool. And now we can see that our been sent the information from the lead. So this is everything that has been pulled in from the VoiceFlow. Let me just go quickly over that while the agent is working. The VoiceFlow bot is particularly prompted to ask these questions. So to show you the prompt, which is very simple. It's been prompted on Perfect Prompt Writer, so the tool on Relevance AI. So if you didn't check out my video on delivering your first project quickly, I use this tool which gives a perfect or a great prompt to get started. And I put in the close framework from Alex Hormozi to ask those questions, and the send results is a function that prompts the agent to send the information about the conversation, the email, and the name to the user. But essentially, once you've put in that webhook into the functions tab, like I just showed you, your agent is pretty much ready to go. You could add a different knowledge base to it as well, but that's to your own use case. So it's filling out the data. So we got the website, we got the industry that they're in, lead summary, so talking about Imangazi, the company LinkedIn, the lead score, which we'll go over in in a second. So the company size, all of these different very great points to know when you're wanting to research more about your leads coming in. Now, the two things I want to go in here are the pain points. So, revenue loss in campaigns due to a lack of personalization in previous marketing efforts. So, it's pulling in even what the past experiences were so that the next steps from this are more personalized. The person who's actually doing this sort of work is more prepared to convert this client who's just got a lead score, which is the maximum. So, that's the one thing. And then you got the personalized lead plan, meeting plan, which is to discuss the personalization of the program, yada yada yada, and then you got some more information here about the decision maker, which I'll go over in more second as well. So going to the agent, the first thing over is probably the lead researcher tool, which is kind of what starts off this whole thing. So a little bit of context within this whole system. It was originally something that I saw within Ben AI's channel, and I saw it as a great opportunity to kind of make the next steps from it. So build on that. So add some different tool functionalities and add in different information, because I know it's a very lengthy and difficult process. So by prompting and making these different tools, you essentially save hours of your time without sacrificing any quality whatsoever. And it all starts with this very in-depth process, which from just the lead name and the email, we're able to research, their LinkedIn. I'm not going to go over these in detail, but essentially you're going to get their LinkedIn information. It's going to scrape all the information from the LinkedIn and output it as JSON, which then will lead into so this is happening for both the company and the lead who we've just talked to, right? So once we've done that, the way I've made this, the system does not move on and complete the process unless the lead is qualified. And this is, although it's a very short step, it's very, very crucial. So as a result of the thing that we've just looked at, we're going to evaluate whether or not they're actually qualified and whether or not you have a lengthy qualification process. These are things that you can extract and evaluate based on this very simple LLM step. But so in this use case, you're looking at essentially the revenue numbers, and according to Hormozi and like some of the other guys that talk about this stuff, the employee number count in your business is a very, very good way to do that, especially if you're like in the tech sort of industry. But essentially what you're going to look at is this very rigid scoring system that takes in their employee count and gives them a score out of it. And what it does is I've prompted the agent to not move on from this step if they're not above a 50. And the reason I did that is because by only getting the qualified people, in this case from employee count, you're gonna have a mix, you're gonna have a combination of the qualified leads that are only processed and put into your Airtable from the number 50. And of those 50 plus lead score records, you're going to have a list of priority, so business opportunities that you are going to pretty much distinguish from lower opportunities. So for example, if you're getting at people just above a 40, you're going to get them a score of around 50, as opposed to getting them of a score of 80. So they're both going to be qualified for your services, but you're going to know exactly which one to prioritize based on their size or their lead score in this case. So although it's a very simple setup, it's quite important. And this system does not move on unless they are qualified, unless they get that 50 plus. Now, these two steps are pretty much finding decision makers. I'm not going to go over them too much because you don't need to change too much, or you don't need to change anything, but they find other people who might be involved in the process of engaging in your product or service that you might want to know about. And as you can see in this example, we got Will Ahmed from Whoop as well. And we even managed to get his email, and his phone number wasn't found, but his email is there. So that's what those two What you will want to change is updating the CRM with the lead info, and then we're going to move on to updating the CRM with the decision maker info. So firstly is this one, and essentially you can see that this one looks at the job title of the lead if it was found, and the lead URL, and essentially everything else that has been compiled over research up to this point. And by this point, you'll see that we also have a pain point summary similar to the one that we saw in the demonstration, and then the structured meeting plan. And what this does is it pretty much updates our whole Airtable base using that information. So all of this you essentially want to leave as it is. What you will want to change is your Airtable account. So before you would have had to make your own custom API request to Airtable to upload all of these records or these fields, but now it's all native to Relevance AI, and you can just by some simple security requests, you can allow Relevance AI to access your Airtable, and then you make sure it's a post request. And now this relative path you want to change to your Airtable base and the table that you're updating. And let me just pull up the documents real quick. This might look a little bit confusing, but you can see I'm on the developers tab for the Airtable, and it's telling me that what I need to do is give it a base ID and the table ID or the name. So if you look at mine, I've got the relative path. So this default path is api.airtable.com, and then the slash is how you personalize it. So it's going to be VO, and then this here is my base ID, and then I just chose to put in my table name, which is just table 1. But the easiest way for you to find your own is just to go over here. You're going to find your base ID, which is in the first /, and then this TBL is going to be your table ID. You don't want to go over because this is the view ID and you don't need that, but you're just going to go to base ID, copy that, and then paste it on here. Although I did choose to do my table name just for simplicity's sake. Now all of this is going to get outputted, and you're going to get, as a result, which is a response payload. So once you upload things, you get something back, and in this case Airtable gives us a record ID of what was just made, and from that we can update more information. So I didn't upload the whole of the information that we're going to end up seeing in Airtable, and that's because the decision maker isn't always found, and so I wanted to make it a separate request that can be updated later on, and it's not a priority. So if not everything's uploaded that's not very necessary, I wanted to put it in this, and in this case it's the decision maker. So other people that might be involved in this business interaction. And so it's going to find the decision maker. If it doesn't, none of this is required other than the record ID. So it's going to find what it can about the decision maker, I should say. And the only thing that you do need, you can see the required field is a record ID, and the agent's going to take in that response payload that you use to upload the row of information, and it's going to take that ID and say, let me append other things to that same row. And just again, what you want to do the exact same thing, not this one, get rid of that. You want to pin the exact same thing to that same row. Otherwise it just makes different rows about the same person, then it's confusing. So what you want to do is this ID here is going to be the new path with the ID of the specific row that you want to update. And you can leave that blank, but again, you want to make sure that you're putting in the VO / your base ID and your table name or your table ID. And then by doing that, you can pinpoint exactly like the base and the table that you're wanting to be updated, and you make sure that you use a patch request. And just by doing that, you should be finished with your interaction. So with your build, essentially from this point everything is done. And the other use case, I mean, I think this is pretty well done, but if you want to change anything else to your own situation, then you're more than welcome. So this takes in the lead name and the summary of the lead. It also takes in the company information, and then most importantly, the conversation. So by taking in the conversation, it can actually draw out all the main pain points, And so as you can see, this was a very simple build, very easy to set it up into your own account. However, the results and the implications that come from this are paramount for your business. If you want to automate, if you want to focus on high priority tasks, this is a very opportunistic tool that you can leverage in your everyday work life. So if you are a business owner and you want to implement systems like these into your own business, then make sure to contact us using the links below, and we will make sure to get back to you.